What up, everybody? It's your boy back again. Now, new channel, Seago, since everybody else got one. You know how it is. So, I got a new subject I wanted to do since the draft about to come up. And it's like, it got me to thinking, like, is it possible that a regular person with a strategy can draft better than a professional GM? So the Falcons, I'm in Atlanta, so I do pay attention to the Falcons a little bit more. We get their news a little bit more. They cleaned house recently. They got rid of the president of operations, GM, coach. Everybody gone. So it got me to thinking that can we do better than these folks? You know what I'm saying? So it took them 6 rounds to find Brady, and there are so many misses in the draft that it seems comical. So I said, you know what? Let me see if I can do this based on the best game simulations ever. And I went out and bought Madden to test my theories. So as a lifelong sports person, I've had theories that I can do better with the players that were available. One of my theories is that if I was a GM of the Detroit Lions, when Barry was there, I would have made for sure that he rushed for 3,000 yards per season. It is a well-known understanding that the Lions never gave Barry an offensive line. And why not? The boy came into the game killing it. It wasn't like it took him by surprise. He broke rookie records, and even to continue to produce at an amazing level. So, why not just, I don't know, invest into an offensive line at a time when the run game was more important than the passing game? I could have did that job with my eyes closed, if you ask me. Just draft an offensive line, let the chips fall where they lay. So that's what I set off to do. I had to see if there is some way if I could do better, so I took the current Falcons roster, and I implemented my philosophy. And to measure it correctly, I took the Falcon drafts from the time when they drafted Matt Ryan, and I wanted to have a side-by-side comparison of the results. So these are some of the rules I came up for myself, like draft the defense, build through the draft, no free agencies or trades, because, you could kind of manipulate the system with that. I wanted to keep my free agents under 33 age until we win a Super Bowl. Trades except when it was on the defense, because at the time I didn't really do a lot of research on exactly what the Falcons had. I just made up these rules because I figured, you can fix the defense, you can fix the offense. And these are pretty much the same ideas from both of them. My first round, I was going to just draft the best available. And if it was like a quarterback, trade in 3 years for picks, because, sometimes the best available was a quarterback. Second and third round would have been a D-line. Fourth round, best available. Again, if the quarterback, if it was a quarterback, I would trade him for picks. Fifth and sixth round, I was going to go with more defensive players. Actually, the second and third would have been a defensive line. Fifth and sixth would have been defensive players. And seventh would have been whoever fills the position. I don't want to pick no kickers, no quarterbacks, no trade-ins, because I didn't really want to mess it up because they kept Matt Ryan for like 20-some years, almost 20 years. So I wanted to try to keep Pennis around for 20 years. You know what I'm saying? I was going to keep Penix best as I could. I didn't want to change the coach, you know what I'm saying? But Madden will fire you, and there go your coaching. I looked at, as I did a couple simulations, I had to revamp some of the rules because you have to purchase coaching upgrades as you get them. I auto updated the players. I didn't want it to be like, you spec all your players to speed, or you spec all your players to power. That's why it worked. Then I found out about abilities, and I was like, I just tried to do a random number on Google. Then as I did that, I found out I should have just simulated the first drafts, because the Falcons are terrible at this thing, man. They are really. Anyway, I simulated to the middle of the season, and then I simulated the playoffs, and yeah. I have to say why I see why the Falcons suck. They don't have a first round or a fifth round this draft coming up tomorrow or today, whenever you see this, for the 2026 year. They don't have first or fifth. So when a team gives up the first, that usually means that they're on a win now situation. The Falcons have not been on win now nothing at all. So that's why everybody lost their job. This literally caused my little experiment to be derailed from the giddy up. I had to trade away Drake and London and players of that caliber to get the Falcons' first draft with Matty Ice because they had I think they have two first rounders. Yeah, they had a first rounder and two fifth rounders. I think they had two first rounders too. The first draft immediately following his rookie year. So I was already starting the hole because I'm giving up the best player to get first round picks, and that's just stupid. So it took me several attempts to get it close to right with trying to get the Falcons draft right. I wound up getting fired after a couple seasons because I only wanted to focus on the draft, and the Madden simulation AI kept letting Bijan Robinson go as soon as his contract was up, which was dumb. And when I found out that I had to scout players at a certain time each season, like it was like week 3 and all this, I wouldn't get no information on the players in the draft because, that's how scouting works all over the place. But finally, I gave up on trying to make the Falcons draft, and I decided to go with my own rules. When I did my little rules, there was some okay results. I kept my job, first of all. There was some success, but ultimately I found out something that I knew, and it kind of soured me on sport games, and one of the reasons I stopped buying and playing them in the first place. Then, like a couple weeks after I got Madden, I wound up seeing that Undisputed was free in February. So I created a little boxer so I can rise up through the ranks and fight for the championship belt. Just bear with me. It makes a point. It was free. I didn't feel too bad about downloading it, Why my boxer come out slow with no punching power out the gate? When is an 18-year-old slow and weak? Like, do the developers know who Mike Tyson was? Ali? Young athletes are very athletic. And this is usually when you get the most amazing sport feats from those players. Iverson crossed up Jordan as a rookie. Mike crossed up Bird in the early part of his career. Tyson was knocking cats out in the first round before he turned 20. So my thing is, what are the developers' fascination with making players struggle with the athleticism of young creative players? How long does it take to make a player a 99 on 2K? By not paying. Years? Why? There's another game coming out next year. You can play 3 to 4 full NBA seasons and honestly, by the time your player should be regarded as one of the best players in the game, what is that? That don't even make sense. It don't take that much time for a player to become great. Anthony Edwards is dominated. SGA is dominated, and they are not 10-year players. I understand that EA and 2K don't want you to dominate the game from the start up, and they want to have to create an illusion of challenge. And I know that it's hard to evaluate what a rookie will do their first year. But without injury and a fierce work ethic, most players become good soon because they have already shown that they have the talent to play professionally. It's kind of par for the course. Why would a pro team waste a draft pick on a player that has to take 5 seasons to develop? I played 2K24 or 25, either one. It took me a full season to get my player to 70-something. That is dumb. Like, why would I draft this sorry player that can barely get up and down the court, ain't strong, can't shoot, ain't worth nothing? That's why cats be crashing out when they lose a level 90 player. Because either it takes forever to get to that level or a bunch of money to get there. Either way, you lose a lot just trying to get a player that is better than good and still not Hall of Fame great. And how do you increase speed? Like, that don't even make sense. You might get a couple hundreds of seconds shaved off your 40 time, but if you can increase speed by working out or working on certain drills, wouldn't every coach in the world be teaching that? How they say it, you can't coach speed? I mean, you're probably at your fastest between the ages of like 16 to 23 with no injuries. After that, your speed steadily drops. How come the developers can't figure this out? Maybe because most of them never played a sport past Pee Wee League. Then, think about sports in real life. Brady was a 6th-round pick. When you draft in Madden, most of the talent in the late rounds, it ain't there. They're useless. You might as well simulate them and get ready to cut them immediately. Right now, there's a Mr. Irrelevant starting quarterback for a playoff-bound team. EA Sports. It's in the game. Jokic was a late-round 2nd pick. The development teams act like this is an impossibility, while the most likely scenario of every player drafted in every sport is multiple busts in the first couple picks and a couple good players sprinkled in the early parts of the draft, and maybe a steal from out of nowhere. Few times do we get a draft that has multiple Hall of Famers. The best we can ask for is a draft where there are players that are still in the league for more than 5 years. Okay, so that's the problem. What's the solution then? I'm trying to figure it out. A random code generator that literally gives superstar talent all willy-nilly. I know that sounds like something silly and crazy, and it seems like it would not work, but that is literally what happens in the draft. The scouts and general managers, coaches, and owners all believe that the guy they draft will be the next iconic superstar of the league, but normally that player will be off that team and out the league before you learn their name. Also, stop making us play the game for the entire year just to have a decent player, then have to do this again. I know there are some diehards who are cool with this aspect of gaming, but I think it's disingenuous. It makes the gaming experience terrible and leans all the way to a pay-to-win situation. Who wants to learn how to do post moves in 2K when all you need to do is pay for your player to have a 99 in shooting? Paying to win was always going to take over gaming because people are lazy and companies are greedy. Why not cater to rich families and let the brokies cry over having to play the game for the entire cycle just to start over again? I started this little experiment thinking I would show that there are certain strategies you can do in football drafting to create a perennial team. Drafting an offensive line, a defensive line, then move to the other positions once that side of the field is secure and go to the other side and repeat. Build from the inside out. But I wound up finding out that sports games have become so uniquely unfun. Why I gotta pay to have a better team when I am playing in the solo franchise? Why I gotta pay to have a better player or for someone to play with me on 2K Open Court or whatever that thing is called? I don't really play these games anymore. Why I gotta pay just to experience my player playing with the professionals when the creator player first came out? Yes, I am that old. We could just run the numbers up to 99 across the board. No payments, no plan, trying to do certain goals, just off the top, create a 99. I know this seems like it's unfair or even dumb to some, but just I'm just here to tell you a little secret. You might not understand this, but this is a video game. None of us are out there playing on the field for real. Most of us do not have the physical traits to even be considered for the sports. So let us have our fun and stop gatekeeping and the entertaining part of the sports game. But other than that, you can be a GM, even if you have the best defensive strategy, the drafting strategy, and all that good stuff. There's more to running a team than drafting good. Not to get too deep into contracts and stuff like that, but there are some behind-the-scenes things that cannot be simulated by sports games. If the player wants to play close to home, but his home is a rival to your team, you will not be drafting him there, giving them an advantage. If his wife does not want to live in a certain city, if you feel like the team played him during his drafting and now he is kicking ass and they want him, if you think for 1 second that Dallas did not want Randy Moss when he became a free agent, and every time you know what I'm saying? You have no idea. Moss was never going to play there, though. And they probably did not pursue him, but trust, if he told them he was willing to sit down and listen, they would have cleared the entire week just to make sure he would sign with them. So, my experiment really didn't work because, honestly, these games are not made to simulate the actual gaming experience that we see in life. These games are just made to get money out of you and waste your time. I'm not really here to make it seem like you shouldn't get it if you want it. If that's your thing, that's your thing. I'm not knocking you. But just understand, this is not the game. It's not how it's played. It's not how it's drafted. It's not how it's done. So, in conclusion, unfortunately, nah, we're not good enough to be GMs. That's a lot of networking. That's a lot of trying to figure out things that are behind the scenes that nobody's talking to you about. It's trading with players, trading with teams that you hate, knowing you want them to lose. You don't have it. It's a lot of networking. I would suggest if you want to become a GM, to start, high school and build relationships from there. Because ultimately, you can't buy Madden or any sports game and try to learn from that. I'm out.